Hey guys, Mr. Amari here with a quick tutorial for you today. Hopefully this will be the first of many that we'll be doing over the summer. I'm going to go over today a quick tutorial on how to draw Miles Morales. He's one of my favorite versions of Spider-Man. He's actually been around far longer than most of you guys probably realize. He didn't just debut in Into the Spider-Verse. Today we're going to be drawing just kind of a simple face and shoulder shot of Miles Morales to get the basics down of, how to draw this character. So let's get to the drawing. I'm going to be drawing using my digital tablet here with my computer. I'm drawing directly into my computer. You guys, of course, can follow along and draw on your own sheets of paper. You don't need anything fancy. All you really need is a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper. I do suggest having a pencil, obviously, in case you make mistakes. You'll be able to erase. You'll be seeing this jump around sometimes. If I make a mistake or I go too long and need to redo stuff, I will cut it and edit it so that you're not surprised when that happens. But you're not going to get this perfect on the first time, not even like the second or third time a lot of times. So don't get discouraged. Just follow along, and pretty soon you'll be drawing, Miles Morales like a pro. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try to get kind of the basic shape of the head. Now, Miles Morales, he isn't like a lot of the other kind of bigger superheroes. He's a teenage kid, so he doesn't have the big square-jawed look that like a Captain America or a Hulk's gonna have, or even Spider-Man. Peter Parker Spider-Man eventually gets into a more square-jawed, more adult look, but Miles Morales, he's more or less a teenager. He's a younger kid, and one of the ways they differentiate him between the other Spider-Man is they give him kind of a skinnier look because of that. So we're going to give him a nice oval-shaped head. Now this is just the sketch part of this. I'm not worried about it being too clean. I'm just going ahead and getting that basic shape. Now I do want to, square off the chin a little bit, give it a little pointier, because Miles Morales does have pretty pointy chin down here. I'm going to take off some of the excess here and erase. Get yourself a nice oval. Kind of egg-shaped, so that you have a little point at the bottom here where the chin's going to be. And then what we're going to do is from the top of the head, right in the middle, we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw a line straight down to where the middle of the chin should be. We're going to make sure that it's visible, but don't do it too dark because we want to be able to erase that afterwards. We're also going to do the same from where we think the ears would be, about halfway up that oval. We're going to draw one going straight across. Now, this is something that maybe you've seen done before. Comic book artists do this all the time. Basically what they're doing is they're trying to map out where parts of the face are going to go. So if you have a character looking further down, this line might, go further down, maybe like down here instead of up there, or they might go higher up if they're looking up. For now, though, we're going to have this kind of dead center in the face because we're just going to draw Miles Morales kind of looking at the camera here. So we're going to get the basic shape in place. We have the little crosshair here where we're going to be able to lay out the features of the face. Before we go any further, we're going to get the basic shape of the neck and the shoulders. Now, again, Miles Morales doesn't have big blocky shoulders coming out. He's got shoulders that kind of come down and like slope down because he's got a very kind of slim form. So we're going to take from right under where we think the ears are going to be, and we're going to give him a nice slim neck because, again, he's kind of a skinny kid. Do the same thing on the other side. And just as we get to where we think the shoulders should be, what we're going to do is instead of going, a lot of times with superheroes, you draw like a big muscle going outward like that. Going outward is going to be too big for him. So what we're going to do is we're not going to do that. What we're going to do instead is we're going to go ahead and draw kind of like a dome shape, kind of a rounded shape going downward. We're going to make that one dome shape to be kind of like the neck muscle over here. So you see better like over here going into the shoulder. And then we're going to give him another muscle kind of coming downward, going to where like his, his shoulder will connect to the arm. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So it can look kind of symmetrical here. So far, so good. We have kind of the basics where his shoulders are going to be, where his head's going to be, and now we can start putting some of the features on. Now I'm going to show you, when you're drawing something like this, you don't always want to go just directly from memory. That can be really difficult sometimes. What I always like to do, I'm going to minimize this for a second here so I can show you, is a lot of times you want to work from a reference point. You want to have a reference point of what this character looks like. And so what I did was I actually went into my little image search here, and I was looking for different images of Miles Morales. Now I'm going to draw him with the mask because I think it's more interesting to draw heroes with the masks. They have bigger, more expressive features that way. It's also a little easier, I'm not going to lie, than trying to draw realistic looking faces. So if I'm taking a look over here at this piece of reference art, I'm looking at the neck and the shoulders, and I can see, okay, my shoulders are a little too beefy, right? I made them a little too big, so I'm going to actually slim down those shoulders a little bit. Instead of making them kind of beefy like that, I'm going to have kind of like a sloping downward shape here, going up into where his neck is. We can do the same thing over here on that side. We're going to get rid of some of these excess lines. Again, this is why you like to use a pencil, not a pen. You don't want to do anything permanent just yet. You always add that stuff in later after you got it looking the way you want it to look. So now I have kind of Miles Morales from the shoulders up. Honestly, I have who could be anyone from the shoulders up. This isn't Miles Morales just yet. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to use this reference photo here to kind of take a look and see what the costume should look like. Now, the details really on where you're going to have kind of everything that makes the character, right? So if I don't get the look of kind of the outfit or the face right, it's not going to seem like Miles Morales. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get the basic shape here. Now you're going to notice there's kind of a, kind of bold lines going across his shoulders. So I can just draw that line going across his shoulders here, which kind of scoop down into a circular form. Get rid of that extra piece here. Just going to go up like that. Looks like he almost has like a shoulder pad running through here. Again, we're not going to be drawing the whole body, so we're just trying to get the basics here. And on the other side, we're going to do the same thing. Alright, and we can see it's kind of really taking shape now. It's really starting to look like the Miles Morales character. We're getting the type of costume right, we're getting the details here. Now, if you want to go a little more advanced and you want to go a little further than just the head and the shoulders, you can easily extend the shape of, the arm from the top of the shoulders here. We can just give ourselves a nice kind of muscular turn here. And we're going to do the same thing. We can follow the line on the inside here. That you can see, if you can see my pointer here, kind of following that line. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to go from up where the armpit should be, coming down, and just kind of drawing, again, a muscular shape here. Again, if you don't get it quite right the first time, that's fine. Go ahead and erase whatever you need to erase. It was not quite looking the way you want it to look. And don't be afraid of these extra lines. Again, that's why we're using a pencil, so that we can erase things when we need to. We're going to go right here at the elbow joint. And so we have ourselves what looks like a decent arm. Again, we're not getting perfect anatomy here. This is a comic book character after all. Now, one of the things that really sells a comic book character look is kind of the back muscle thing. Again, if you see my little pointer here on the side, where that back muscle kind of goes from under your arm and connects from under your arm to your torso, we're going to give Miles Morales that little turn there, which then goes straight down. That gives us the back muscle. And we're going to fill in the arm on the other side too, just kind of giving the basic muscular shapes, kind of moving straight down. Now this is a simple pose. He's just standing straight up facing the camera. So we don't have any like big dynamic or crazy poses to do. So right now, here we go. We have pretty much Miles Morales without the details filled in, with some of the costume details in here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to get that mask done. Actually, let's get the symbol in here before I go on to another kind of look. So let's get the symbol in the middle. Now the symbol, if we take a look at it, is symmetrical on both sides. It means it looks the same on both sides. Now, this is not the one from Into the Spider-Verse. This is one of the ones he had in the comic, and it's kind of very detailed. I'm not going to worry too much about getting it perfectly right here, so I'm just going to go ahead and mimic the shapes, which are very angular and very triangular. Just make sure I get kind of legs in the same spot, so it kind of, again, looks like the right character. If you don't get the symbol right, people tend to notice that. You know, Superman is Superman partially because of symbol. Captain America, the big, star symbol, makes him very, very recognizable. So having the Spider-Man symbol is part of that. So I'm going to make a little line here down the middle so I can make sure I'm being symmetrical. I'm doing the same thing on the same side. And this is not going to come out perfectly. I can always fix this later and make it kind of more symmetrical if I need to. But for now, this is fine for what we're doing. That was pretty bad. I'm going to erase that. I'm going to go ahead and fix that, make it more angular like it should be. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing here. Alright, again, not perfect, but close enough for what we're trying to do here today. Alright, so I have Miles Morales. I have him with his spider symbol on the chest. I'm going to move the lines of his costume a little bit so that they're not overlapping quite so badly with his symbol. Alright, and see how we can make adjustments as we go. We can always take things out that don't fit and add things in that we need to as we go. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to go and fill in that mask. So we have the body pretty much done the way we want it to be done. We have all the basics for the costume put in. Now we got to fill in the mask. Now I have my guideline going from the top middle of the head to the bottom, right from here going straight down to where the chin's going to be. Now the shape of the eyes is very important for any Spider-Man character. If we take a look again at a piece of reference art here, this is what Miles Morales' eyes look like on the mask. It's different from standard Spider-Man. If we take a look at the regular Spider-Man mask down here, we see that it has a very angular look. It's very almost like, triangular, like little wedges on the face. Whereas with the Miles Morales mask, it's much, much rounder. And so we're going to make sure that we try to capture that. Now, it doesn't have to be exact. That's something I want to make sure that we're talking about here. I'm not trying to copy this exact. I'm not trying to make a one-for-one copy of this piece of artwork that I'm using for reference. What I'm trying to do is get the feeling of the character, right? So what I'm going to do is use this as my reference point. I'm going to go ahead, and while I'm looking at this, I'm going to figure out where I want to put the eyes. Now, if we take a look at our reference drawing here, the little middle tilt, point, the little middle point of the eye here is about 2/3 of the way down the face, so kind of like lower down than you normally would have the eyes on a person. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put my little point here, and then I'm going to, instead of swooping up like I would, this is how I would normally draw Spider-Man's eyes, right? This is Peter Parker Spider-Man. But since I'm doing Miles Morales, I'm going to go ahead and round it outward instead of inward. So we're going to have our little point and round it instead of swooping it inwards. And then at the end is where we have that little flare up. And then the nice thing here is that we can use the edge of the mask, kind of like the rounded part of the head here, to give us that curve for the rest of the eye. And then as we come down underneath, again, we want to have that nice rounded piece before we go into that point. And this will give us just about the right lens shape. The other thing is, whereas Spider-Man has very thick black outlines around his lenses, with Miles Morales we have these thin red outlines. So we're going to kind of draw those outlines out. Not too thick. This will be good if you're coloring in later. You have that outline where you're going to be putting the red. And then we're going to do the same thing for the other side. One thing I always like to do is, if this is the top of one eye, I'm going to draw a little line across Where should the other top be? Good, my little top is the same on the other side. And same thing using the curve of the mask. And then our nice rounded underneath until it goes in. Again, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be exact. You can spend hours trying to get these things perfect. Just do it the best you can. Have fun with the process. Make sure you enjoy just the actual act of drawing it, not trying to get anything professional or perfect here. All right, so pretty good. We have what looks like Miles Morales' mask. And then the next thing for us to do would be to add all the little details. Now, honestly, if this were me, I'd be pretty happy with how this looks. This is a pretty good sketch of Miles Morales. If you want to go a little more in depth, you can stick with me here a little bit and we'll talk about how to add kind of the webbing design to the outfit. What we again want to do is kind of take a look at a piece of reference art here. Here's one that's a nice clear shot of the mask. Let me see if I can make this any bigger. There we go. And we see that he has a pretty simple design. We have a web design that uses about 2 or 3 lines that converge in the middle of his mask. So what I always like to do with any of these Spider-Man designs is that line that I had going straight down the face is actually not a bad guideline to have. So we have that line down the middle of the face. We're going to erase the center of it though, because that's where we're going to be putting that little rounded piece where the webs kind of connect. So we have our first line. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add another one going off to the right. Now we round it a little bit as we go up so that the head itself looks like it's getting rounded. So it looks like it adds shape to a flat drawing here. It makes it look a little more rounded, a little more 3D. We can do the same thing on the bottom here. Here, round it off to the side, round it off to the side. Might even add one more over here just to fill in a little bit. Okay, and we have ourselves the basics for these lines. And then what we do is we fill in the webbing in between. Really all you're doing is starting on one line that you've already drawn, swooping in and creating just like 1/2 of a W in between the 2 lines to create that web shape. And you just go ahead and you do that until you've covered the whole mask with that. Now when you get to the bottom, you want the points facing downward instead of upward. And there we have a pretty basic Miles Morales. Now what I'm going to do here is, this is the drawing, this is kind of your basic sketch. You can always extend your webs down into his costume to make it a bit more busy, a bit more interesting. It's also a little more challenging. I'll go ahead and I'll add those in. And it's the same idea. We have these lines that go straight through. And again, these little details are really what helps sell the character. It's what makes it look more like the character. And the more little details you put in, the more people will be able to recognize, oh yes, that's that character. So always make sure that you do as much as you can to try to make sure you're capturing the spirit of the character whenever you're drawing them. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna hit the fast forward button on this, and you're gonna watch as I do my finishing touches. Now, I'll do a separate video one day on how I do these, what these little extra touches are, how they add to the drawing, how to do coloring. That's one thing you're gonna see me do while I do this. It's something that you could attempt on your own, but it's something where I'll do a full video. Maybe on my next sketch, I'll run you through how to do coloring on these to make sure you get a nice dynamic look to them. I hope you guys enjoyed this, hope you had fun with it, and I'd love to see what you guys have done. MilDev should have a Google Classroom set up so that you guys can share your drawings. If there is, I'll put a link in the description of the video, and you can add your drawings to our Google Classroom. Thank you guys, enjoy the rest of the video.